When we look at the trajectories of influential and successful individuals like Carl Jung, Sigmund Freud, Albert Einstein, Nelson Mandela, and many other historical figures, it's common to feel a sense of inadequacy. Their lives seem filled with grand achievements, accomplishments, and an unquestionable sense of purpose, while ours, at times, may feel small and devoid of impact. However, what we often forget is that the meaning of a life is not defined solely by grand achievements or worldwide fame. Instead, it is shaped by the small daily actions, the internal battles each of us faces, and the constant pursuit of self-awareness and personal growth. Like them, we too are capable of carving out a meaningful path, one that is unique, molded by the shadows we integrate, the flaws we overcome, and the moments when, despite fear, we choose to act. In many of his works, Carl Jung explored the search for meaning and self-awareness. According to Jung, the purpose of life is not tied to what you achieve but to who you are and how you act. For Jung, the human being can be described in its totality by the psyche, which encompasses both conscious and unconscious aspects. At the center of our consciousness, which includes everything we know and recognize, lies the ego. But beyond the ego lies much that we do not recognize. At the heart of our unconscious, representing everything hidden from us, lies our shadow, our dark side. Jung believed that the key to discovering our life's purpose lies in the unconscious. This is because your life's purpose is not something objective or universal. It is something unique and specific to you. Jung was a Swiss psychiatrist and psychoanalyst who founded his own school of psychology, known as analytical psychology. His philosophy is often referred to as Jungian philosophy. He also published several important works, including The Psychology of the Unconscious, Man and His Symbols, The Archetypes and the Collective Unconscious, Modern Man in Search of a Soul, The Psychology of Transference, Memories, Dreams, Reflections, and the Relations Between the Ego and the Unconscious. In this video, we will explore the steps you need to take for your shadow to reveal your life's purpose, according to Jung's philosophy. Jung once said, "Your visions will become clear only when you can look into your own heart. Whoever looks outside dreams. Whoever looks inside awakens." Each person has a unique meaning and purpose in life, shaped by who they are and what they desire. Therefore, you need to truly know yourself before attempting to understand your life's purpose. Many people believe they know themselves well. You might think you're familiar with your traits, strengths, weaknesses, and desires, and thus be tempted to dive straight into the search for your purpose. However, to truly know yourself, you must undergo what Jung called self-realization. Every human being is composed of both conscious and unconscious aspects, the parts of ourselves we know and those we are unaware of. The shadow, or dark side, is the hidden part of our unconscious that harbors repressed desires, emotions, and traits. For example, your shadow might contain feelings of laziness, envy, or anger, as well as hobbies or interests you're ashamed of or think you should have outgrown. Since the shadow resides in the unconscious, we are usually unaware of what lies within it. These aspects have been repressed and ignored for so long that they no longer surface in our thoughts. Instead, we tend to over-identify with our persona, the role we unconsciously play to be accepted or admired by others. This persona acts as a mask we wear when interacting with the world, and we may have multiple masks for different situations. Reconnecting with your shadow requires genuine effort. Engaging in what Jung called shadow work, getting to know your dark side, involves taking regular pauses to reflect on your behavior, thoughts, and feelings in everyday life. This can be done through journaling or meditation. Ask yourself, why did I act the way I did? Did it feel authentic? Why or why not? What was my first instinct in a given situation? How would I feel if the roles were reversed? It's as if you're interrogating yourself in the same way you would another person. Jung emphasized that knowing your shadow doesn't mean identifying with it. You don't need to define yourself by the traits you usually hide. For example, if your shadow harbors anger, you don't have to see yourself as an angry person. Instead, simply recognize and accept the existence of these traits. Understand that they are part of you but don't fully define you. Another way the hidden traits of your shadow often manifest is through judging others. The characteristics or behaviors you despise in others are frequently the ones you fear in yourself. This is called projection. Therefore, whenever you find yourself irritated or angry at someone's behavior, pause and ask, Have I ever displayed this tendency? If not, why? Could this be a trait of my own shadow? According to Jung, those who harshly judge selfishness often repress their own selfish thoughts, and those intolerant of others' impatience may be struggling with their own impatient tendencies. Taking time every day to sit down, perhaps write in a journal, and ask yourself these probing questions is the beginning of bringing the unconscious into consciousness. Creating the habit of exploring your shadow is essential for continually moving closer to a meaningful life. In Jung's words, "I am not what happened to me, I am what I choose to become." Now that you've discovered more about your unconscious and perhaps some less desirable shadow traits, you might be wondering how this can help improve your life. In truth, you might even feel worse after this self-realization, as you can no longer ignore all your darker sides. Jung acknowledged that discovering who you truly are is an extremely painful and frightening process. Many people believe that repressing the bad parts of themselves, never showing them, is an effective way to get rid of them entirely. After all, aren't those who can contain their anger the kindest people, and those who overcome laziness the most productive? Well, yes, but also no. While it's good to want to be better, ignoring your traits won't make them disappear. Repressing shadow characteristics usually gives them more power. They lie dormant within you, and when you're tired, stressed, or pushed to your limit, they suddenly explode. People who don't recognize their anger are precisely the ones who have terrifying outbursts from time to time. Those who ignore their laziness end up burning out. Ignoring something doesn't make it go away. Now that you know your shadow, you can finally do something with it. Whatever you find in your shadow, use those traits to your advantage. Anger, for example, is only bad if it's excessive or disproportionate. But when someone truly hurts you, anger can help you defend yourself. The question you should ask yourself is, when is it right to act on an emotion and when is it better not to? When should I rely on my mask and persona, and when don't I need them? By thinking more deeply about your emotions instead of labeling them as good or bad, you will greatly improve your life and well-being. Envy can be a motivator. Laziness can provide the rest you need. Impatience can make you more active if the context is right. In other words, you need to find ways to integrate everything you discover in your shadow into your personality instead of ignoring it. Your shadow isn't here to punish you but to teach you. These repressed traits are here to stay, and only when you accept and embrace your shadow qualities can you truly improve yourself. Self-awareness and the ability to use all sides of yourself are what you need to discover your life's purpose. Once your shadow is integrated, you become more yourself, more balanced, harmonious, and authentic. When you know how to use your shadow, you will have discovered who you truly are, and with that, it will be much easier to understand what you really want and need from life. Self-improvement is another form of shadow work that never ends. There's always something to improve. When you continue to better yourself, you're adding meaning to your life. According to Jung, you are what you do, not what you say you'll do. When you know who you are, how to better handle your shadow traits, and what you believe in, you need to demonstrate this. The purpose of life cannot be found solely in thoughts but in practice. Jung believed that self-realization needed to be shown through what you do, not what you say. After all, you can only say you're a certain way and desire certain things if you act accordingly. This means you shouldn't live your life reactively, not just reacting to what happens but also initiating something in your life. Instead of waiting for people to approach you, go out and make friends. Instead of waiting for a promotion, create a plan and pursue it. Instead of waiting for your life to gain the meaning you desire, make your life meaningful through your actions. Today, most of us live reactively. Even those who actively seek to explore their shadow and improve themselves. Working on yourself is a great first step, of course, but it's not enough. You need to start acting in other areas of life. In fact, after doing shadow work, you might think you can now relax. But staying stagnant in life is what keeps you trapped in a lack of meaning. So, how do you start living actively? Simply by challenging yourself. After taking steps to continually explore your shadow and improve yourself based on what you've discovered, you must also take extra steps. Frequently ask yourself, what do I believe in? What spiritual or religious beliefs, moral principles, or values do I hold? How do I act daily? What do I want to achieve this year and in the next 5 years? How do I want to contribute to the world? What do I expect from others? You can write about these questions or meditate on them. The answers are clear clues about what kind of actions you should take. For example, you might want to become a published author. Many people want this, but many of them don't take many steps to achieve this goal. They wait for inspiration, for a quieter moment, and eventually believe the book will write itself. They still live reactively, thinking that when the right moment comes, the book will flow. But that's not how it works. Someone who truly wants to be an author needs to change. An aspiring author who takes action writes frequently and on a schedule, regardless of whether they feel inspired. When they get stuck, they actively seek advice or exercises to move forward. They finish a story, even if not out of motivation but discipline, and after that, they proactively reach out to people in the publishing industry like literary agents. Of course, many don't find meaning in career goals. Instead, their personal ideas about life might be more abstract. You might want to positively influence the younger generation, for example. This can be done in various ways, as a parent, teacher, by creating an NGO for youth, working as a youth counselor, or even as a politician. It's up to you to decide how you want to achieve this goal and what actions are necessary. Whenever you ask yourself questions about your values and beliefs, you'll need to decide how you can work toward them and what actions you should take. It's possible to survive by living reactively, but it's not possible to find meaning in a reactive life. Meaning requires action. Jung once said, "Where your fear is, there lies your task." One of the main reasons people live reactively isn't just laziness, and often it's not even a lack of motivation. Most of the time, the avoidance of action stems from fear. Acting requires risk, and that can be scary. When you have an idea for a book, you need to risk being disappointed by your own writing to put it on paper. Once the book is written, you need to be prepared for many rejections if you want to publish it. Every action you take can result in something negative. You need courage to be active. Courage doesn't arise from the absence of fear. Fear shouldn't be avoided. If you ignore it, it will return to your shadow and control your life even more. Instead, it should be acknowledged. When you find yourself facing an action you need to take but feel incapable, ask yourself, what could go wrong and how could I handle it? Fear can often be controlled through preparation, but don't confuse preparation with rumination or anxiety. Focus only on likely scenarios, not far-fetched possibilities. If you want to publish a book, prepare to be rejected by several agents or even for no one to be interested in representing you. But also be prepared to find an agent or to self-publish. Don't waste time imagining endless rejections, someone stealing your idea or being ridiculed. These thoughts are unlikely and unhelpful. By analyzing your fear and dealing with it through preparation, you'll already have a large part of it under control. The feeling of fear may never completely disappear, but when you've done what you can to minimize it, only one thing remains: diving in headfirst. Courage requires you to face your fears instead of trying to get rid of them. No one who has done something meaningful in life achieved it by avoiding what scared them. As Jung said, where your fear is, there lies your next task. When you discover what you fear, you also discover what will likely give your life the most meaning. In our final quote from Jung, he says, "Even a happy life cannot be without a measure of darkness, and the word happy would lose its meaning if it were not balanced by sadness." Let's think. You know yourself, you're always improving, you're taking action, and you're taking risks. Is this the recipe for a perfect life? No. No one has a perfect life. In fact, the most influential people in the world are often those who have faced the most difficulties, and this happens because they are the ones who take the most risks. They don't let bad situations defeat them and continue to fight no matter what. Accepting the bad and disappointing things in life is essential for finding meaning and purpose. In fact, meaning depends on it. A life that consists only of triumphs and joys isn't a meaningful life, because joy is only impactful when you also know sadness. You can't win without the possibility of defeat. There can't be light without darkness. This means that whenever something bad happens, you need to reframe it. Failure and mistakes are opportunities for growth. Whenever something happens, your reaction to it teaches you something new about yourself. Bad things, then, are essential for your self-discovery and are also useful when it comes to knowing your shadow. No one discovers they need to be more pragmatic unless they've failed to be so at some point, and no one discovers they're resilient and strong unless something in their life has demanded it. Say your novel is rejected by every publisher you send it to, or you quit a stable job to go back to school and ended up failing. Of course, now you have more context to appreciate the good things that come your way. You've learned something, but this also adds more meaning to your life. The meaning of life, according to Jung, isn't in achieving the goals you've set, it's in taking action and self-discovery. With this, he means that your life doesn't become meaningful because you've become a published author or a successful politician. It gains meaning through what you've done to get there, and even those who don't get there now know they're the kind of person who takes action. They are unique and undeniably themselves, and that in itself is the most meaningful part. Adding meaning to your life never ends. You need to keep discovering yourself, your goals, and taking action. You will continue to experience good and bad things, and that's what makes your life so special. Your unique combination of disappointments and joys, your actions and attempts, and your determination. Always be proud of what you've tried, that's where purpose comes from. And finally, value all the good in your life. No matter how much you've achieved, no matter how small, be proud of it. Whatever goes right in your life, be grateful for it. And no matter what happens, know that your life has a purpose as long as you are the best version of yourself.